Welcome to this week's Rural School Advocates of Iowa Capital Recap video. I'm Margaret Buckton, your RSAI professional advocate. In today's video, we're going to talk about floor action in the House and Senate, compare some charter school bills that are in both chambers, look at a social studies proposal, what's up with that, and what's coming next, continued floor work before the next funnel, and finish up with some advocacy actions for the week. So we're right in that phase where there's a lot of floor debate on in both chambers, both the House and the Senate, where bills that cleared the first funnel have to get debated on the floor, sent over to the other side, and get through a subcommittee and a committee in order to stay alive. So not surprising, we saw a lot of bills move this week. Two bills get to the governor, House File 2610, that's the Career and Technical Community College Update Bill, and House File 2331, a Civics Excellence Seal program where that seal could go on transcripts, and that's completely permissive for school districts to participate in if you want to. The Senate passed four other bills that impact education, sending them over to the House. Senate File 2220 is the department's Talented and Gifted and Advanced Pathways bill. They didn't make any amendments or changes to that bill in the Senate. Now, the original version of that bill over on the House side didn't even get out of the House Education Committee. So the future of this bill is really uncertain over on the House side. Senate File 2319 would require your district to post the link to the Your Life Iowa program on your school district's website. Senate File 2320 is the concurrent enrollment in-person presumption that gives the school district control over the modality of how students would access either online or in-person community college courses. Senate File 2330, the School Technology Impact Study, also was approved by the Senate. The House debated so many more bills, I'm not going to talk about them all today, but you can see them in your weekly report if you want the details. I am going to point out a few of the unfunded mandates and a couple of priority things. So Senate File 274 would require school districts to accept cash for sports tickets. That goes back to the Senate with an amendment. And of course, not taking cash has been able to save staff time and all of the cash that was handled in years past. House File 2244, the U.S. government requirements, that would require a full year of U.S. government and civics in order for students to graduate. Now, it doesn't increase the graduation requirements overall. It's still just 3 social studies courses. But we know there's going to be some work in training staff and getting new materials and making sure that that full year program really is rigorous and relevant for students. House File 2510, the social studies curriculum. I'm going to talk about that one in just a minute, so I'm not going to go through it now. I did want to point out House File 2492. That one would allow operational sharing weighting incentives, the supplementary weighting to apply to career and technical education teachers that are shared, and we're definitely in support of that. The House also passed House File 2652, which requires play-based learning for preschool, transitional kindergarten, and kindergartening. It's a great idea to engage students in that, especially younger students. At the kindergarten level, however, we believe it's an unfunded mandate since many of our kindergarten teachers do not have early childhood credentials, and a lot of our materials are aligned to a more traditional approach to instruction. So it would take both some training and some additional materials. House File 2676, the MAHA, or Make America Healthy Again initiative, changes some school lunch requirements and also has some very prescriptive physical activity requirements. PE for 30 minutes a day for every elementary school student, that 120 minutes at high school. We know we don't have enough PE teachers or even gym space in order to accomplish that. And what do we stop doing with all that time that would now be spent on physical activity? One other priority we did want to point out, House File 2684, that's the Education Savings Account Categorical Fund flexibility. So if you have any resident students in your district who go to a private school and get an education savings account, and that generates for you those categorical funds, the school board would be able to use them for any general fund purpose. 2 charter school bills in each chamber with similarities and differences. So the bills started out as identical. The governor's bill in the House is now House File 2699. It's in the House Appropriations Committee, where a subcommittee has recommended it move forward. House File 2713 has had no action this week. That's a bigger school choice bill that's charter schools plus lots of other things. That's still in the House Appropriations Committee, but no subcommittee is assigned. Over on the Senate side, both bills are on the Senate calendar. The governor's bill is Senate File 2406, and the bigger school choice bill, Senate File 2425. So we put together a chart to kind of show you the things that are similar in these 2 bills and the things that are different. The shaded rows here are similar. Both bills would require teacher salary supplement to follow the student to a charter school. The Department of Management would deduct that fund from the district and send it to the charter. And then charter school students are allowed to participate in resident district extracurriculars in both bills. However, in the House side, when they got the governor's bill out of the House Education Committee, they amended it to include not just sports, but also theater, show choir, and band. There is no requirement that the charter school pay the school district for that participation. And then the school start date, it used to be that they had a school start date in that big school choice bill, but that was amended out. So now in both cases, it doesn't exist in either bill. Lots of things are different, however, when you compare the rest of the provisions. On the big school choice bill, we're concerned about the state providing funding for school facilities for not just charters, but also private accredited schools. We're also concerned about the preschool provisions that require school districts to have a 28E agreement with a private provider if they request it, but there's no oversight on the private provider. They're not required to change their enrollment or instructional standards to participate, and you're not allowed to limit the slots that they have. And we're concerned that they wouldn't live up to the standards of having accredited teachers, making sure that we have at least 10 hours of quality instruction, the quality preschool program standards that are available for students. So the social studies proposals. We've had a lot of questions about this. This week, House File 2510 was approved by the House, 60 in favor, 36 against. It was sent over to the Senate, where it's in the Senate Education Committee. This bill completely rewrites U.S. government and civics content into the Iowa Code. And you really just have to read it to see how incredibly minute these requirements are. The link is going to be in your weekly report, but it's multiple pages and details everything at all different levels. Much of that detail is already in the Iowa Social Studies standards, but the bill requires the DE and the State Board of Education to not enforce or support the new social studies standards that they already have communicated to school districts. And we know some of your districts have purchased materials, trained staff, and kind of organized your social studies content around those new standards. So what's coming next? Continued floor work before the March 20th funnel deadline, and is followed by subcommittees in the other chamber before committees can consider bills. So that social studies bill is one of those where there wasn't a similar bill on the Senate side. We don't know if the Senate Education Committee is going to schedule a subcommittee to look at that bill, and we'll have to keep you posted as the bills cross chambers to see what things will really move forward. Of course, the funnel deadlines don't apply to the Ways and Means bills like the property tax bills we've been talking about for the last several weeks, or any other tax policy, and the appropriations bills that spend money, whether that's supplemental for the current year or for fiscal 27. Those bills are exempt from the funnel deadlines too. So as we've been saying for weeks, keep talking about the property tax reform advocacy in particular. We'll have some resources in your weekly report for that. And also, now that SSA is done, 2% signed by the governor, and for many, many school districts among the RSAI family are stuck at that 1% increase for the budget guarantee, or maybe even down, because there are 89 school districts with less regular program district costs this year due to declining enrollment. So talk to them about the costs of unfunded mandates. When you look through the weekly report, you can pick out a few to share with your legislators and explain why they would cost your districts money, staff time, and really the energy that is currently being really focused on complex literacy and math work and the work-based learning and career technical education initiatives in the high school. We can't do everything, so we have to focus on the things that are the most meaningful, and especially with those immediate implementation deadlines, those mandates can be distracting. Thanks to our RSAI corporate sponsors. We appreciate their support and connection to rural school districts. Check out the corporate sponsor page on the RSAI website for more information about how to access their services. And if you have a company or service that you think would be supportive of rural schools, send them our way. You can click on the RSAI legislative webpage for access to these videos, position papers, weekly reports, calls to action, and more. And check out this week's detailed written report for all the actions at the State House, especially about those unfunded mandates. And we'll see you next week.